money was the most important thing to everybody, then we would all work 24 hours a day. But we don't.
If money was the most important thing, pawn shops would not exist. If money was the most important thing, nobody would ever order something on Uber Eats ever. Paying $25 for a $15 burrito is a
Huge markup.
yeah, you're paying double. Where, okay, but you can't conceptualize somebody, maybe selling their house for, 15% less than as is value. Now, yes, the numbers are way bigger, right? But speed and convenience are two things that people are oftentimes willing to trade money or equity for. I know your first deal was like $6,000, something like that.
It was $6K, January 10th.
And how did you get that deal? Or where did you find the lead?
So that was from...
All of my biggest deals, every single deal I've closed that was over six-figure assignment fees have been the easiest deals I've ever done in my life. How difficult was it working with a title company to get your first deal closed? So we're here today with Zach. Zach, how do you spell your last name? Is it Zwiak?
You said it good. Yeah, it's Zwiak. It's Zywyak.
Yeah.
It's a beer in Poland.
Really?
Which is kind of cool. You can get it at Total Wine. It's called Żywiec.
All right.
It's kind of just light beer.
Well, I would check that out. Light beer, so it tastes like something you could buy at a gas station.
It's like a Bud Light.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel, because I don't like craft beer at all. And like, I'll go to a place like a brewery or something like that. And I'm like, could you just give me one of them that tastes like all the other ones? And like, okay, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, especially now the IPAs are getting like, dude. I don't need sometimes like triple IPA, like 9-10%. I'm like, I really don't need that. Like, I just want to have a beer.
Well, I mean, some of them, dude, you drink two of them and it's like,
you
just had like 2 AMFs.
Yeah, you're done. And dude, you feel so bad after the beers too.
Oh
like,
yeah, but that's heavy.
A loaf of bread.
It sits there for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Zach, we were talking the other day and you told me that over the past 74 days, we have profited $47,500 worth of wholesale real estate deals.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
Yeah. So what you were saying, you had just closed one of them on your way driving home from the Grand Canyon?
Yeah. So the last one is probably like, I didn't make as much money on the last one, but it was like one of my like favorite deals so far. Cause I had a trip to Havasupai. I don't know if you know about that. That's in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. If you look it up, man, it's a beautiful place. Blue waterfalls. Basically.
Oh, wow.
There's a tribe of people that still live down there.
They're still living out there?
Yeah, that's where they've been for hundreds of years.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But they have like full-on city down there, town down there.
Okay.
And they fly in and out on a helicopter all the time. But anyway.
All right, so they got helicopters. Okay, I was wondering if this was like what level of sophistication. I mean, obviously they're around everything, but
it's an expensive camping trip, and the tribe is, they've got a helicopter and all kinds of fun stuff. So good for them.
So when we first met, you were doing the like guided tours of things like the Grand Canyon and other sort of like nature.
Yeah, like all over Arizona, Wyoming, Montana, even into California and like Joshua Tree and Death Valley. So my job was traveling around a lot and taking groups of people, like up to 12 people, like backpacking into the Grand Canyon or into the backcountry Yellowstone. A lot of really fun stuff, but I did it for about 6 years, super like enriching time. But near the end of it, it was clear to me that I needed to make some money at some point in my life, because I spent about 10 years just kind of effing off and playing in the national parks and the ski towns.
I mean, shit, that's fun, right?
It's very fun, yeah.
So are you still doing any of that, or is it just all real estate?
So I quit the guiding job back in June. And before I quit, I had a real estate photography business that I still run today. I shot 2 houses today.
Oh, nice.
And that's been a great way for me to just kind of, it's another business that you can run as just like a solo person pretty easily. So that gets me like more like boring business income. And then I've been doing everything I can to generate good leads and get those closed.
Okay.
And the last, 70 days or so has been like the biggest pop of closes I've seen yet. And I think the first time I even thought about wholesaling was back in June of 2023. I think you were doing like a 30-day challenge of some kind. And like legitimately, you're the first person to convince me to
Right on.
call a stranger on the phone and ask to buy their house.
Yeah. But I mean, it really is just that, you know?
Yep. And looking back, I like in that first month, some of those leads, I was not able to close them, but I followed the deals and I was like, I totally had a deal right there.
You know close. What? It's so funny you say that because I was just talking on one of our weekly calls that I was doing yesterday. And I was telling everybody that in the beginning of wholesaling, you get paid two ways. Now, obviously, we're chasing the first way, which is getting paid in money. But really important is the second way where you're getting paid in knowledge. Because when I was getting started, it took me 2.5 months to get my first deal. I'm sure you've heard the story, the little houses in Ajo, Arizona. I made 15 G's, changed my life. But I was thinking about it. And if I had talked to Joe, the owner of those houses, day one when I was calling, there is not a shot in hell I would have gotten that deal locked up. Like I would have messed it up, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that throughout those first 2.5 months when I was learning and I'm making the calls and putting the reps in, that I was learning a lot. And it was like all of that time when trust me, there were times where I was like, holy shit, am I doing all of this for nothing? Like I'm doing this, have nothing to show for it.
I feel dumb.
Yes, I felt very dumb. But, because of that, when I did finally get the guy up at the plate and was able to make something of it because of all of this other experience and all this compounded effort that I'd put in before.
Yeah.
And it was like, people need to realize that in the beginning, yes, it sucks, especially getting that first one where you're like, shit, is this even real? Like, you know, but then once you do get the first one, you have two things. Number one, all of that experience of all the no's and everything you heard before. And then number two, the proof of concept of the money in your bank account, which, trust me, makes getting that second, third, fourth, fifth one so much easier.
So much pressure relieved.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I'm sure we like talk about all kinds of stuff, but the one thing that I wasn't really prepared for was when I really had a good one in escrow, assigned with like literally no reason that it shouldn't close. Mm-hmm. I still had to wait like 25 days for it to close. So every day I just like look at my phone and be like, okay, I don't want to like, nothing happened. It did close, but you're just waiting for the seller to call you and be like,
oh, it's
screw you. You don't know what you're doing. Like, get out of here. Like,
yes,
it's like the money's right there, but it's not there yet.
Right.
So it's
right. It's
a taxing period.
You have everything. You have the seller under contract. You have it sold. It's assigned. The title company has come back. Everything on the Schedule B is cleared. Like it's clear to close. And then it's just a waiting game. And you're just like, right. Oh my God.
I wanted to just go to sleep and wake up on that day.
Yes. Well, I mean, for me, the feeling of getting that like the first deal, I remember they were like, okay, you can either come to the title company and pick up a check or we'll wire it to you. And I didn't really understand how a wire worked. I still don't. And I was like, okay, what do you mean? Like when will that be in my bank account? And they're trying to explain to me the banks in New York and how they send out the wires. And I'm like, yeah, let me just drive to the title company to get the check. Like, no, I have it. And they're like, well, then it's going to take longer to like wait for it to clear. And I was like, nope, I need to see that.
In my hand.
Yes.
Kind of. But then the bank put a hold on it and how many days later?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and another thing is that I remember being concerned. I was like, is the bank going to like ask me where I got this from? Like, are they going to be like, dude, why do you have a check for $15,000? Like, how am I supposed to, like, am I about to sit down and explain this to them? But no, it's just things that happen. And it turns out that a, multi-5-figure check from a title company is nothing.
Pretty typical.
Yes, yeah. Very, very normal, in banking.
I had that happen here in Phoenix. Like, how I got the first chunk of money that I could use to really, like, start marketing was like flipping my Sprinter van. I remember talking to you about this, and I sold that thing for almost $50,000. So I had a check for $47,000, like the same as this. And then I went down to like some Wells Fargo in downtown Phoenix, tried to put it in, and maybe I had a Chase. Actually, it was a Chase check that I was trying to deposit into my Chase account, and they were like, "We can't do it." Like something like I couldn't. All my money, it was my money, and they were like, "We don't think, I don't know why, doesn't make sense." Put a big hold on it. It was a
nightmare,
big crap, because it had been pulled from one of their like somebody with a Chase account. Yeah. It was just, I don't know. You always want the wire. Yeah. You want to get the wire, and you want to get it before you want to close on Thursday, not Friday. Because I did that too.
You nailed it, and also not the first of the month or end of the month, ideally. Yeah. Definitely schedule closings for Thursday. That's That's some professional advice right there. Because that's another thing is like all of a sudden I got these deals. I'm like, what? Like the wire, they're like, yeah, it went out. And I'm like, well, I'm refreshing right now.
I refresh all the time.
I don't see it, you know? But then it does come and you're like, okay, that's nice.
Yeah. Like, I mean, even talking to my title lady who in the beginning, I didn't understand how important that relationship was going to be.
Yeah.
But like me and my title lady are super tight.
Yeah.
I'll like text her. She'll call me in the after hours, be like, hey, you need to do this. Like,
yeah.
Really great relationship. But like I had one of those Friday closings. Everything's done. The wires are sent. Everyone like recorded. Mm-hmm. No money. Like no money till Monday. And then Monday was a holiday.
Oh no.
I had to wait a little longer, but
yeah, time
it gets easier, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me on that first one, I know your first deal was like $6,000, something like that.
Which is so crazy because it was a lot of work. And then I just had a $20,000 one, which is the easiest deal I ever did.
Oh, I'll tell you, all of my biggest deals, every single deal I've closed that was over 6-figure assignment fees have been the easiest deals I've ever done in my life.
No friction.
No issues with a seller, no issues with a buyer, no title issues whatsoever. But all of my ones that are less than $10,000 are like the seller's trying to back out. They're like over there. They're like putting sledgehammers through the property's, drywall. Yeah. The buyer has a million different things they're pissed off about. Nobody wants to submit EMD. Seller doesn't want to move, and there's title issues. All of a sudden, they got liens and heirs, and it's like, okay, well, shoot.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot easier just to do
do a more easy deal.
Yeah, shoot. Let me get one $50,000 deal than 10 of these $5,000 deals.
Yeah, I mean, it was $6K, January 10th,
yeah,
2024.
And how did you get that deal?
That deal came
where did you find the lead?
So that was from direct mail.
Okay.
So I was mailing like a small niche list.
Yeah.
I had been cold calling that list too, just using whatever time I had to like try to pull something out of there. Mm-hmm. I do think that cold calling is like, and I've done a lot of it, definitely not like, I never closed a deal from cold calling, but there were deals that were there.
Yeah.
I just didn't get them. It is the time commitment of cold calling is like really a lot.
Yeah.
But this one came from direct mail. Super weird. They were just, I remember reading the text from this guy and being like, is he fucking with me? Like, this just sounds like he wants to, he's like, yeah, we just want to be done with it. We just wanted to do like, what could we get if we just cashed it out? I ultimately never knew why, which is maybe like something I would have done differently.
Yeah.
But I think that they must have had like some big like revolving debt that was like smashing them.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to get out of this and pay it off and move on. And my buyer for that deal came from the same batch of mail.
Oh,
I
really?
had like mailed him on a rental property, and he called me and was like, hey man, I'm not going to sell this to you, but if you find anything, let me know.
Yeah.
And I've sold him 3 deals.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy how often that happens where you're reaching out to people, because especially a lot of these houses we're reaching out to, maybe they're vacant or things like that, is when landlords and other people, or you're calling like a tired landlord list. They're not actually a tired landlord. They're a ballin' landlord. And how many times they're like, okay, this guy's hustling. Like, he's doing the outreach. He's going to find the deals. Like, hey, send them to me. That's how I got connected with a guy out here who now I've sold probably 50, 60 deals to. Was through something like that, and then, yeah, now we made a bunch
a good
of money
buyer makes this the easiest
yeah.
thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, yeah, man. I mean, gosh, it's just it's really cool. I'm excited to like continue because these are like the next few deals are going to be a lot more like net profit after like expenses, and just like every month that goes by, I spend money on life. But learning how to do this is like just such a cheat code, and it puts you like, I know you've talked about this, the Prescott deal or maybe Flagstaff, whatever, 100K deal like just came from PPC.
Yeah. No, that was actually SEO. That was somebody who just Googled.
On your page.
Yeah.
But like, if you know what to say to the right person, if you know how to execute this, you're going to find somebody who like wants to give you a shot or is like, yeah, man, you close it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, and people, most people, and I totally get it, think that it would be crazy for somebody to take like $100,000 haircut on whatever they're doing. But I don't remember where I heard this, but it really reshaped how I looked at the money side of this is that if money was the most important thing to everybody, then we would all work 24 hours a day. But we don't. So
that's a great point. I've
there's
never thought of it
there's
like that.
some part of us that's like, well, I'm not going to work
Yes.
all the hours. It's like, okay, well then something other than money is important to you. And so that's where those gaps come in, and you can find a lot of gaps when something's like $1 million house.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, okay, so think about this. If I really like where you did this sort of thought exercise of if money is the most important thing. If money was the most important thing, pawn shops would not exist. But how come we can drive down the street and go see 1 million of them? If money was the most important thing, nobody would ever order something on Uber Eats ever, right?
Yeah.
So now,
That's a good example,
but most people are able to look at that and they say, okay, I can understand why somebody would pay $25 for a, $12 burrito because of the convenience. Yeah. But what they don't realize is if we look at this in the same, proportion of a house, paying $25 for a $15 burrito is a,
huge markup.
Yeah, you're paying double. Where, okay, but you can't conceptualize somebody, maybe selling their house for, 15% less than as is value. Now, yes, the numbers are way bigger, right? But speed and convenience are two things that people are oftentimes willing to trade money or equity for, in this case. And as long as you can convey that to the right person of, hey, look, yes, there are ways that you could go get more money for the property, but it's not going to be as easy as over here where all we have to do, we do this little walkthrough and that's it. You're taken care of. And until you've actually, I think, sold a house, it's just something that most people can't understand. Because most people only think that the only avatar of people who are selling houses is like living a great life, like nuclear family, wife and kids. They got to, they're going to upsize into a new house and they're getting it all ready and cleaning it up and having showings. And they don't think of all the other people who are like, oh shit, I just got a job. I'm moving across the country. I have to move in 14 days to be to this job. This needs to be taken care of. Oh, I haven't, I've got 1 million cabinets in my kitchen that need fixed. My AC doesn't work. I've got broken windows. The door to the master bedroom isn't even open. Like 1 million different things. They're like, oh shit, I'm not going to repair those little things. And also I got to clean this entire thing. And then I got to get my dogs out for showings. And all these things are like, oh shit, okay, never mind. Maybe I could just cash out,
I mean, so my biggest deal, the one that was the easiest to close, I remember like the moment where I think I closed this guy was in his living room. He had so much crap. He was in like his 80s and he was really spry and he was getting ready to move to Silver City with his girlfriend. And he's like, yeah, I got to go. And he had been like squirreling away stuff for years. Yeah. We joked, he had like his little hardware store in the garage. Like he had everything. Yeah. And, Mike, I was like, Mike, what, like, if it made sense for me to buy this place, you could just leave everything. And like, what if you didn't have to do any of this? You could just leave everything here. And I saw his face like changed, right? He was like
that's possible.
That's what,
yeah, this is
that is really a, because he was ready. He was smitten with his girlfriend and he just wanted to move to New Mexico and he didn't need the money, like any more money necessarily. Right. And it was the craziest like price negotiation ever because he was like, we were like going back and forth. I'm like, well, what do you want for it? And he's like, I don't know. Like, what did you? I was like, well, I mean, can you work with me between like 160 and 180? And he was like, yeah, I think so. And I'm like, okay, well, what about like 160? So, and he was just like, no, not as much. And I got it at 175.
There we go.
And he was like, okay.
That's awesome.
And I was like, are you going to like talk to, he said he had this stack of postcards. And I was like, are you going to call anybody else? He's like, no, I feel good with you. I'm not going to call anybody else.
Right on.
Well, just luck too. But being able to like know how to do these things and honestly just get lucky, you can.
Well, you put yourself in that position. Mm-hmm. You made the first call out there to ask him if he was even interested in getting a cash offer. But the most important thing is you're curious about him and his situation. Like, again, back to the whole thing of money is the most important thing to you even to have, well, first of all, masterclass of how you even ask the question of what if.
What if, yeah.
I love that you start it like that because that's beautiful. But it's you're looking for the other things. You're looking for the like some people call it maybe a black swan. I think is what that's FBI negotiating guy, Chris Voss,
Yeah.
talks about, is like the secret little thing that is a massive game changer for him and his decision of he doesn't want to have to get rid of all this shit and deal with it.
Yeah.
And when you just solve that for him, it's like, oh, immediately the domino fell, done deal.
Yeah. And I mean, good buyer. He didn't even walk it. He just drove by.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, works for me.
All right. Was it the guy?
Same guy.
Okay. Check that out.
It's crazy, man.
So something that I do want to address is that having a good buyer is definitely a cheat code, but do not get this confused of trying to, in my personal opinion, I do not think that somebody should try and find a buyer before they have a deal. Meaning you're just getting started. I see the benefits of calling people and finding a buyer first, right? Because then if you have somebody that maybe you can send deals to, get buy prices off of, that's really nice. But the problem is that most buyers who are really good and they are, buying lots of deals and things like this, if somebody calls them with, nothing but promises and, sweet nothings about what you are going to do eventually of, hey, let me go find a deal for you, right? Is like, for me, somebody, cause I'm out there on like InvestLift and other things where people call me, hey, what's your buy box? I'm like, well, what do you have available right now?
So funny. Yeah.
Like, what do you have available right now? Like, no, nothing. We want to learn about what you want so we can bring exactly. And it's like, look, okay, I appreciate that, but I don't give a shit. Like, I got a million people doing exactly what you're doing.
I want to get a deal that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
but if somebody calls me, or for instance, your situation where you are showing that you're putting in the effort, inadvertently on accident calling this guy.
Yeah.
But, if somebody calls me and they have something of value immediately and they're like, hey, I got this deal. It's a 3-2, whatever. It looks like you've purchased a property in that area, but they have something for me right now of value. So, okay, that's somebody I want to talk to.
Right.
That's why when you have a deal, it makes it so much easier to start building relationships with buyers and meet those people that eventually make getting more deals easier.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that, the deal is the secret sauce of all of this.
Oh, yeah. Once you find the good deal, everything takes care of itself.
They really, quick. And it can. And maybe your first deal, at least something that has a spread is a good deal for your first deal, like anything. Yeah. And like on my first deal, I probably could have got more for that if I dispoed it differently. Mm-hmm. But like getting that first close like done easily was great. And I would agree, like it's good to like know. You kind of start to figure out how to find buyers too. Like you just start seeing like who's flipping houses, and you start like, I have a spreadsheet full of LLCs that I'm supposed to look up at some point when I can't sell a deal. Cause I know those LLCs are doing stuff.
They're doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely find a deal first because that's the hard part.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks that'll like, they exclusively dispose stuff, and I've been assisted with that before and it's been super beneficial. But at the end of the day, they're always trying to find somebody who has a deal to sell.
Exactly.
And you want to be the pretty girl with the deal. So if you can, that's the thing you want to figure out how to do. Because the dispo thing, people make good money with it. I'm sure you know a lot of folks that do really well with it too. Mm-hmm. But they're not in control. Exactly.
Well, and it's just a whole different ballgame when you're doing that. Because exactly like you said, you're not in control. I don't want to have to rely on other people to do something. Like I'm telling you, my most favorite part about this industry is that if I completely screwed up and I lost everything, I could still wake up tomorrow, go to a library, use their computer, and I would go on Zillow. Yeah. And after a few days of this, now, yes, I'm going to be pounding phones for 8 hours every single day at the library, but after a few days, I would be able to find a property, get it under contract for a discount, and then I could go turn that into, a 5-figure payday, and then it would take just a few more of these, and we'd be back to where we're at, right? And it's just because of the skill I've learned of finding discounted deals, negotiating with sellers, getting under contract, and then networking to find a real estate investor that is looking for it. And then I know that this can always take care of me and my family, no matter what happens. Unless people decide to stop living in houses.
That's a different type of confidence too.
Oh yeah.
Is that like you are the hunter, like you have the ability to create it. But if I'm just trying to dispose Zach's deals, I gotta hope. What if Zach just leaves town? Like I don't know.
And what if Zach finds somebody else who's willing to do it for cheaper,
pay more or whatever? Yeah. So definitely, I think finding the deal is the magic sauce, and it just takes about 100 times more than you think it's going to take. But if you dissociate yourself from the result and just do it for the sake of doing it, I think that's That's kind of what I got into.
So this is something that I was talking to with Blake, my dad.
Your dad's funny.
I know where I get a lot of stuff from. He was talking to somebody, I overheard him, and he was talking about when he got into playing Call of Duty. So back when I was in high school, he worked in Utah and would have to like fly to Utah and ran a drywall business there. And we would play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 together, like on Xbox Live. And we were talking about it, and he was talking like basically telling these people, you remember playing, Modern Warfare 2? And they're like, yeah. And he was like, do you remember the first time you ever got quick scoped by somebody? And all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, like how'd that person learn how to do it? And then he's like, I know when I did. And all of a sudden I'm on YouTube and I'm studying and I'm watching these people, like how they do that and how are you supposed to? And I'm studying and I'm learning and then I'm practicing and I'm going to my matches and I'm learning how to quick scope until I can eventually do it. So do you know how many concerted hours of concerted effort I put into learning how to do that? He's like, look, what we're doing over here is going to require a very similar type of grind. Like you have to, like you're not just going to go make $20,000 out of thin air. Like there is work involved. But if you do it in the same way that you learned how to be good at this other thing, where you go, you watch videos, you study, you put it into practice, and then you do the thing. You go through the hours. And instead of playing matches, right, you're making calls and you're putting in the effort, like you're going to get the end result of getting good. But it's the exact same thing. But yeah, it does take effort. And if you think that, now, I have had people get lucky, and in their first week, they go get a deal or something like that.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, no, not
maybe
really.
The worst thing that could happen to you.
Exactly, because now you think, oh, okay, this is going to be easy. Yeah. Whereas when you had to put in more effort in the beginning, and again, you learn that effort is not for nothing. It's not just about that first money you make. As we said earlier, it's like getting into learning all the experience so that you can do this in the future. That's what makes getting, the second, third, fourth, fifth deals that much easier. That combined with you have some money to put into marketing and, other people to cold call for you, sending out direct mail, getting leads come in from inbound
and just knowing
services.
too when you're talking to a seller, like being able to legitimately walk them through like what's going to happen,
yes.
Knowing for certain you're like, yeah, I've gotten these emails. Like I know how this is going to happen.
You know what? So that's something I want to ask you because I was looking through and I get so many questions of people that are so concerned and worried about what is this title company? And I don't know how to do any of that. How difficult was it working with a title company to get your first deal closed?
Not at all.
Right?
She was super nice. It was Janet Moe. I met her at Azria.
Okay.
And I sent it. I was like, well, it's in Tucson. Can you do it? She's like, yeah, I can do it. She's kind of funny. She can do anything.
Yeah.
And I remember, I don't know, she just helped me out a ton. I was like, Janet, I don't know what to, like, I don't know. I just asked her any questions. Yeah. And she was like, no, this is what you're going to do. You need to get them to sign this and then send it over to me. Like it wasn't like she was like, you should know what's going on. No, she wants to get this thing closed too.
Exactly. And she's getting paid by the end buyer, same guy who's paying you. So it's like, everybody's mutually benefited by getting this done. Yep. But the fact is, I feel like people are scared about, oh, there's all this going on and I'm not going to know what to do. Where just like you said, they want to help you. They're going to, it's not a big deal at all.
No, it's really the simplest thing. And they kind of do a lot of the hard work on the transaction side. Oh yeah. People talk about, I could see where this would come into play like maybe later on, but like transaction coordinator is my title company lady. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe in a retail transaction, you have more to coordinate, but
all of a sudden you've got like 25 of these things rolling at the same time. That's where you need somebody.
Gets a little bit crazy.
Yeah. But I also think that people like jump into trying to get like a TC or something like that way too soon, where it's like you need to do some of this yourself to learn what's going on.
You want to know what's going on. Yeah. You got to sit in all the seats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the best part to me, truly the best part about wholesaling, besides learning sales and marketing at a very high level, is you learn exactly how a real estate transaction functions from all different points of view. You learn from the seller what they're doing, the buyer what they're doing, the title company, you see things with the lenders, and it's like it gives you such a high level overview about all the different parts. And through those different parts, there is so many different verticals that you can make money in real estate once you understand it,
Yeah. And that's what I've started getting into as well. Like I went and got my license.
Oh yeah.
More to just be able to like get a referral off of some of these things because I've referred stuff to folks that I couldn't make any money off of it because they didn't want to, which I get it, because in Arizona, it's Like it says straight up. Like
Yeah.
when I did the course, like you cannot. And I'm like, okay. So I got this silly piece of paper so I can make some money down the road.
Some of the easiest money you can ever make too.
But even with like notes,
Oh yeah.
like I started diving into notes, and that's like a very interesting thing that could really, I mean, man, from a passive income generation standpoint, like I don't know if there's anything better than that.
Well, so once you understand, especially one of these, a typical wholesale deal to fix and flip pipeline, right? If you as the wholesaler, you understand what the fix and flipper is going to do, right? They're going to go through, they'll fix it up. It's going to cost about this much. They're going to sell it for about this much. They'll profit. If you understand how to do that and you can create notes, then you're giving somebody who you're pretty much always going to get paid on. And if for some reason they do default, it's on an asset class that you understand that you can just then go in and do and make the money. So I'm 100% with you.
Like worst case scenario, it's really not that bad.
Well, it's funny because exactly what you're saying are what all the smartest, richest people are doing. Like, Temp, a mutual friend, he's
Templeton is the man.
Yeah.
On my first deal, I had somebody like texted me his number. They're like, I know this guy down in Arizona. He could help you if you need, because my first deal, I like blasted it out, and then I had Arizona's a tough place to blast a deal.
Yeah.
And, New Western's calling you.
Oh, the sharks.
People are calling, like I had this guy calling me like, trying to get me to assign it to him without any hard earnest money. And that was like a red flag to me. Yeah. And then I got Temp's number. I had no idea how legit this guy was. And I just called him out of the blue on like a Tuesday. I was like, hey man, I had a question. Like, would you ever assign something without hard, or like so silly? And he's like, no, never. Yeah. Don't. And he took the call. He helped me. He was like, yeah, dude, get it closed. Like, and that's another crazy thing about the real estate thing is everyone's ready to help you, or anyone who's actually successful in this has no problem lending a hand or like explaining something to you, or like showing you how to get it to work. Right.
Well, this is pretty much the only industry that I've like really gotten a foot in and gotten to know. So I don't know if anywhere else is like this, but it seems like that to me too. It is very collaborative. Yeah. Like how many times, I've gone to other people's offices and they're showing me everything. Like, here's exactly how we do our marketing. Here's our sales process. Here's how we're selling deals, and then they come to mine. We do the same thing. And it's like, I feel like, in my mind, most people would probably keep this closer, to the chest, not really want to show these things. But I don't know if it's just here too in Arizona. It could be that.
Possible, yeah.
But it's cool how everybody's like that. Like you said, really willing to lend a hand and help out.
Yeah, Temp in particular is like, I just love the way this guy's living his life. I'm like, dude, I want to be Temp. I want to figure out how to do this, man.
Absolutely. That's Templeton Walker on Instagram, by the way. For anybody who's wondering, he's the GOAT.
He's your best follow of 2024.
Yes, absolutely. Well, listen, Zach, I really appreciate you driving up here to come talk about this. And I know for myself, looking back, when I was 22 getting started, getting to hear about somebody like you who's, gotten into this and is making the strides to, get to that next level and, find success in it and make money. It's exactly what I would want to see. So I appreciate you coming and sharing about these things and the lessons that you've learned. And I think that it's going to be really helpful for some people.
Dude, I hope so. And, man, I don't know. I just can't thank you enough. Like your lives, or I don't even know what you were doing at the time, but it was very accessible to just like watch you do the business and be like, okay, like that's not that crazy.
You know what? That's what I think is the biggest thing. And that's why I really like the opportunity to do stuff live, because like when I make the calls and stuff like that, people are like, there's got to be more. It's like, no, that's not. And it's like, no, like that was it.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Like that's the hardest part. Like, yes, no, I've got to go find a buyer and talk to them, but they're a million times easier to talk to. It's way more straightforward. The title company, even more so. Yeah. And that's it, Right. Hardest part done. Money in the bank.
Yeah. And I mean, what a cool skill to learn.
Yeah.
I don't know if learning how to transact in real estate and then going from there, like now you can, if I wanted to take one of these down as a flip, I know at least 3 people I could call who would like fund 100% of a deal. Like that would loan me $250,000 to buy a house to like do stuff to it, which is so crazy, but that's like,
it's the world we live in.
Totally available.
Yeah.
And more money than that, like by far.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, it's just wild. It's the industry that I think you want to be in. just for life too, because you're gonna buy or sell a house at some point too. So you just need to
want to live somewhere.
know what's going on. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, dude, super cool.
All right, man. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate you.